This video is brought to you by Choke Cola, the official soft drink of the Toronto Maple Leafs. As a fan of the Montreal Canadiens, this offseason will be a long one with no playoffs for last season's Stanley Cup finalists. This should be an offseason of change. Changes in the locker room with the expected announcement of a new captain to take over for Shea Weber and the expected arrival of center Shane Wright after the draft. Also, changes to the roster as the Habs GM, Kent Hughes, starts to make trades and signings to move out some salary and bring in young players and prospects and draft picks to help this team move forward. This video is about the players I think that won't be back next season and what the roster might look like on next opening day. Hey, everybody, I'm Rick. Welcome to Talking Habs, where you get your daily fix of Bleu Blanc Rouge. The offseason will be ruled by money. Montreal needs to clear some cap space. They're right up against the cap. If they want to be able to fill out their roster, they're going to need to do that. And here's this is from an article, I think, from Arpin Basu of The Athletic, that somebody posted this piece on Twitter, so I took it. So he writes, this is Section A of his article. Even if the Canadiens are unable to lighten their financial load this summer, their salary cap situation remains central to everything they might do. So it's worth looking at how much money they will have available. So he writes, first off, the concrete. The Canadiens currently have 17 players under contract for next season at a combined $82.67 million. And that's a total that includes Shea Weber's salary. So if you subtract that, you are left with $74.81 million. Even if the salary cap is rising to 82.5, which it is, next season, the Canadiens will be working under a lower cap because of a bonus overage. I've talked about this before, that resulted from the entry-level players hitting various performance bonuses over the course of the season. So they will be working under a salary cap that is $1.132 million lower, or $81.368 million. Basically, before doing anything, the Canadiens have roughly $6.55 million to sign Alex Romanov, Sam Montembeault, Rem Pitlick, and 3 or 4 other players to fill out their roster. An analysis of his current his contract situation, that the writer did in March, led them to believe Romanov alone could account for up to half that money, all on his own. And I've said I think he's going to sign for a bridge deal of 3 years, $3.5 million. And then he says, then there's prices status to talk about. So we'll get into that in a bit. So there's they have to move salary while taking on very little in trades and any trades that they make, any signings that they make, they can't. They're talking about bringing in, or rumor is talking about bringing in Patrice Bergeron or Chris Letang, and that's big money, and that they don't have that money. And retaining any salary will be near impossible to even consider. So they've said they don't want to retain salary, and you can see why. It's going to be tough to retain any salary of any big amount on any of these contracts that they want to get rid of. So with the bad contracts Montreal has, and they have a few, Drouin, Armia, Gallagher, Byron, Petrie, Price, and Weber, how does GM Kent Hughes overcome this obstacle? And which contracts do I think he'll be able to find new homes for? So I'm going to start with a depth chart for all positions, and where I list who I think, and then I'll list, show the same depth chart with who I think that they can trade this offseason, and what I think the roster will look like for opening game, a little bit down, a little bit later, based on the current roster, because I can't tell who they might trade for or who they might sign to bring in. So here's my version of the Habs depth chart by position. We'll start with the forwards. So on left wing, Mike Hoffman, Jonathan Drouin, who has a modified no-trade clause. That's Rem Pitlick, who's an RFA, needs to be signed. Paul Byron. Matthew Perreault is a UFA. Raphael Harvey-Pinard and Michael Pezzetta, he's an RFA. At center position, Nick Suzuki. Now here, I probably, the start of the season, it's going to be Christian Dvorak at the number 2 slot there. Then Shane Wright, and then Jake Evans, Ryan Poehling, and Laurent Dauphin, who's a UFA. On the right side, right wing, Cole Caulfield, Josh Anderson, who is a modified no trade clause, Brendan Gallagher, who has one of those as well with a no movement clause, Yoel Armia, Tyler Pitlick, who's a UFA, Jesse Alonen, and I've got Joshua Raw there in brackets because I have a feeling I'm going to say I want to leave the possibility open for that kid that maybe he makes the jump in a season where Montreal's looking at the young kids, giving them a chance, going to play a lot of young kids. If he wows it in training camp, he might make the team. I'm going to leave that possibility open here. Now, these are who I think on that list that I just gave you with an X, who I think that is going to be gone. On left wing, Mike Hoffman. Why Mike Hoffman, not Jonathan Drouin? Jonathan Drouin, not because of his modified no trade clause. He's injured, coming off wrist surgery. Are you going to trade for a guy like that? He's making a little bit too much money. I just don't think anybody's going to be interested in him right now. And whereas I think Hoffman, yes, Hoffman has had a great career so far. He had a bad season, but so did everybody here. He picked it up a lot right at the end of the season playing with Suzuki and Caulfield. And I think his contract isn't horrible, and there'll be teams that want to pick him up, I think. Paul Byron, 1 year left at $3.4 million. He's oft injured. He's a leader, without a doubt. I think all the players love him. But when you're in a year where you really have to move money, I think Paul Byron, they've got to find a way to move Paul Byron's contract. They have to, I think. Matthew Perreault, he's a UFA. Let him walk. That's what they're going to do. That's what you do. Raphael Harvey-Pinard. I don't have to go through him because there's no X there. Over to the centers. Suzuki, Wright, Dvorak, Evans, Poehling. I don't think they trade these guys, with the exception of maybe a possibility between Evans and Poehling. I don't know if they find they have too many centers. Laurent Dauphin, UFA. They have a lot of centers. I don't think he adds much except depth. Does he want to play in Laval? Don't know. Let him walk. Right wing. The only one there is Armia, which is going to be a damn near impossibility with the 3 years left at $3.4 million with what he has been giving this past season. But I think they find a way. That's a contract. I think you have no choice. You retain a little bit of salary with the goal of you're creating some cap space, right? So I'm not talking about half the salary, but I could see, $500,000, a little more than that, but not much. You do that, I think they can get rid of or can move Armia, and I think they do that. On the defense on the left side, depth chart is Edmondson, Harris, Gooley, Sheneman, who's an RFA, Norlinder, and Arbor. I'm going to call him Arbor because that last name of his is really hard for everybody. I think it's Mikai. I'm going to call him Arbor. I should just put Arbor there. But on the right side, Petrie with his modified no trade and his no movement clause and his asking of, can you trade me, please? And the Habs saying, yes, if we can, we will. Romanov, an RFA. Savard with a contract I don't know that they can move without, holding all of it. And then I'll have Weidman, who's a UFA. Barron. And I got Mailloux there, and maybe some people are surprised I put Mailloux's name up there, but I have him in brackets because I don't see any way Logan Mailloux could be in Montreal next year. With his injury last season, plus he had missed some time, and his development's a little stalled, I think he has to go back to the London Knights no matter what. So, but he's there because it's the depth chart. I think, he could turn out to be a really good, solid defenseman here, and so I got him there. Whoop. Yeah, okay. So here's I'm Xing them out now. There's not a lot here. Now, I'll go with the right side. Petrie, we know, asking for a trade. Montreal's going to do their best to accommodate him. With his no movement, modified no trade, I think it's 15-team list. I don't know how that plays in with a no movement clause, but he's going to submit his, obviously he's going to waive that. And he's going to submit his list, and they're going to find a home for him. Weidman. There's a possibility they re-sign Weidman, I think, but I don't see why they do in a year where you want to play your young kids a little, a lot. I don't see why you have Weidman there except for depth. I don't know. So I say they let him walk. Now, on the other side, a lot of people are going to be Norlinder. I've got Norlinder there with a question mark as well. Why do I have Norlinder there? It's a gut feeling. I think Norlinder is going to be used in a trade of some sort, maybe in the Petrie trade to sweeten it so they don't have to hold salary, or in the in a trade for Armia. They might need a guy like Norlinder to get a team to take Armia without having to retain any or maybe just a little bit of salary. And that's why I've got him there. For some reason, I've got this gut feeling Norlinder is going to be that guy that gets moved like that. So let me know in the comment section if you think I'm crazy, what you think about that. Don't forget, let me know in the comment section. Next up is the goalies. Depth chart. Price with his no movement clause. Jake Allen. Montembeault's an RFA. Primo's an RFA. There's not a lot after that. So I've got Dobis, who's been in college, who could make the jump to the pro ranks. And Dykau, Frederick Dykau. That's my depth chart for the goalies. And here there's just one question mark for me, besides Price's health, is Jake Allen. If they feel Price will not be back, Kent Hughes has already said he doesn't see a number one goalie other than Price in this organization. That means he doesn't see Jake Allen as a number one. So if that's the case, you feel Price won't be back, you might trade Allen and bring in a starting goalie. Not expensive, nothing like that, but bring in a starting goalie for a couple of seasons and have Monty as the backup. And that's why the question mark is there. And I think it's a possibility that Allen could go. Plus, trading Allen in a situation like that might really help the quest for getting Connor Bedard in the draft after that, and hoping to do a repeat of the getting the number one pick. So that would really help to keep them down on the bottom of the league without really making it bad, depending on the goalie they bring in to replace Allen. All right, so if Jim Hughes is able to make those moves, and if I guessed right about who he moves out, then this is how I see the opening game 23-man roster without knowing who, if anybody, and who Montreal brings in via trade or free agency. So this is what I think is the roster on opening night might look like. And once again, let me know in the comment section what you think about it. If you would make changes, what in the comment section. So here we go. Left wing, I've got a question mark for the first one there. Why? I think they're going to try to fill that spot with somebody that's going to match up well with Suzuki and Caulfield. That is going to be a left winger and not so Caulfield doesn't have to shift over. And I don't know who that'll be. So I'm going to put a question mark there because I don't know who that'll be, but I think they're going to make an effort to try to do that. Then I have Drouin, Rem Pitlick, Raphael Harvey-Pinard, Tyler Pitlick, who I've switched from right over to left because he does play all positions, forward positions, so that's possible. I've got Michael Pezzetta as an extra, and they're in brackets because this is an opening night roster, and I don't know that Pezzetta will start on opening night. Now, if they don't sign a left winger or find a left winger, then you just shift everybody up, and it would be Drouin, Pitlick, RHP, and Tyler Pitlick as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's how I see it. At center, without a doubt, Nick Suzuki. And then you've got Wright and Dvorak. On opening night, if Shane Wright has had just a lights-out training camp and preseason, yeah, I don't see why he doesn't start as the second center. But considering he's a rookie, he might start lower down the line, and you just shift the guys up. So I've got to go Suzuki, Wright, Dvorak, Evans, and Paling. I don't know which one. I don't know if they trade one, It's a possibility. That's how I see it on opening night. On the right side, Cole Caulfield. Without a doubt, Cole Caulfield playing with Suzuki. Anderson as the second line guy. Gallagher, third line guy. They went with that much of the last part of the season. Now, I think here, Ilonen is ready to make the jump. I think he gets a shot, depending on how he does in training camp, and depending on how Joshua Waugh does in training camp. It's going to be one of those two guys, in my opinion. This is my opinion only. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And I think it'll be one of those two guys there. On left D, Edmondson, because most experienced guy there, I think. And on the left side, definitely. And I think he's obviously going to be the top guy on the left D. I think Harris, who had a really good whatever number of games he played this season, I like what I saw. I think he's going to be a little older, a little smarter from his experience. Opening night, Harris on second pairing. And then the surprise maybe for some, and I didn't think going in that I would have had Gooley here, but I think Gooley is the third pairing guy on the left side. Going with the young guys. This is opening night. Remember, early in the season, if these guys don't pan out over a few games, you send them back down. So that's why I think opening night is key. Remember that it's opening night that I'm talking about. On the right side, I think Alex Romanov has proven he can play the minutes, and he got so much better when he was given all that responsibility. I really liked his game in the last 25, 30 games of the season. And like I said, he really ate up the minutes. I don't think it's a problem for him to be a first pairing right D right now. He may not stay there, considering the talent that are of the young kids that are there. So over a couple of seasons, it might change. I think right now, Romanov there. David Savard, because what else are you going to do with Savard? He's experienced. He did play better under Marty St. Louis. And you want a little bit of experience on each line for the first two. And then Barron, because Barron, I like what I saw in his short time because of the injury. He's played with Gooley before for Team Canada, and I think they become a pair, and it'll be the third pair because they're both young guys in their first seasons, and I think that's what happens. And then as the seventh defenseman, Corey Sheneman, I think they re-signed him. He's an RFA. He plays both sides. He's listed as a right and left D, and I think it makes sense to have him. I like what I saw from Sheneman, and I want to see more. In goal, Price is there in brackets and a question mark because does he have an operation? Is he ready for opening for training camp and opening night? It's too much of a question mark. If he is, he's there. If not, it's Allen or the question mark of if they trade Allen and reach out for a starting goalie. I think that's how it is. And Monty backing him up. I don't think Primo's ready, and I don't think it would be Primo as the backup. I think they hang on to Monty. He's an RFA. He won't cost much, and that makes sense to me. That's my opening night roster. Remember, opening night roster. That's what it is. So they're not going to play these guys all year. I don't know. It's opening night. That's who I think starts, unless they make other moves and bring in other guys that I cannot account for or predict at this point. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section. Rick, you're nuts. Or, hey, I agree with you on this, but not on this. Or this is what I would do. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are about the roster. Please check out the video that I think it's in that corner. It popped up there in that corner. And if you're watching this on Saturday, please check out Saturday Night Hockey Talk tonight at 8, where we will be talking about hockey, Shane Wright, and the Toronto game is going to be going on. And hopefully they're going to be doing this. So we'll be talking about that. So please check that out. And that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. And I'm well overdue with the timeline here. Whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. Bye, everybody. Stay safe out there. Peace out, y'all. Thanks for watching this video. Ciao, everybody.